Folks, this is going to be a short video because I just got a call from my wife. Uh, anyway, folks, I started telling people at least 20 years ago who was running the southern border, folks. I have been telling this on every channel I ever had before COVID. That was one of the things I put out on all my channels, all of them, is that I lived in Mesa, Arizona for over 20 years, folks. I'm not even sure how many years, but it was for over 20 years. I raised my kids were raised in Mesa, Arizona. Actually, they were born and raised in Mesa, Arizona, or in that area. Both of them, my stepchildren. But we did raise them there. So I got there long before I ever even met my wife that had my two stepchildren. So I spent a lot of time in Arizona, Mesa, all over in that area. I spent a lot of time in Mexico, deep sea fishing, doing all kinds of shit down in Choy Bay, Rocky Point. I spent times four-wheeling, or actually two-wheeling first. First times I ever went to Baja, the dunes. I had I was on two wheels. It was my two-stroke CR 250. It was a race bike, folks. Built basically for the dunes. That's what it was built for. 400-foot walls, straight up, sand walls. And I'm telling you, the first time I took my RM 250 out there to the sand dunes, I didn't have a paddle tire. So it was pretty much worthless. But when the bike I built for the sand dunes, the CR 250, I had a fat paddle tire on it. It was made for the dunes. But folks, I'm just talking about the southern border. I want to keep on that because I could go into many stories. And this has got to be short. My wife's already mad. So, I spent a lot of time running across borders, southern borders, Baja, Mexico, Baja, California, Baja, even Arizona. There wasn't back then even a sign where you went from one. There weren't places, let's put it like this, that you could cross that border no matter where it was at. And somebody didn't know about it. Let's just put it like that. Didn't matter what you was doing. After spending probably the first part, or from about let me see, I'm thinking from about 1984, late 1984 or 1985 to in the 90s, running across that southern border. And I used to tell people all the time, Mexico does not control that border. The United States doesn't control that border. The United States put the drug cartels in place to control that border. And if you think I'm lying, go ahead. But I know Horseface, politician, long, skinny face. I'm thinking his last name is Kerry for some reason, but I could be wrong. John Kerry or something like that. I've forgotten most of this shit, folks. I'm trying to work off memory. But this clown went down there and sold, not Mexico, American military weapons. John Kerry went down there and sold these Mexican drug lords, the people they claim were the big boys, 100% American military weapons to protect what America has invested in, or at least their government. I know you people think I'm crazy. I've run both sides of that border that I knew who was in control. I've seen drug dealers standing on the corners of the streets in Mesa, Arizona. Cocaine, pot, whatever you wanted. Cops come in and bust them. They're Mexican citizens. They can't be put in jail, or they couldn't at that time. Their drugs would be confiscated, and they would be put in a van and driven back to the southern border. Don't believe me, folks. I swear I know these people. They'd drive them back to the southern border and push them out. By the time the van driver that took them down there gets back to the police department in Maricopa County, this is back when Sheriff, who did Trump pardon? You guys know what I'm talking about. Maricopa County, Opio, I can't remember it all, folks. This was longer than probably you guys been alive years ago, you know. Arpaio of Maricopa County. By the time they got back up in the van, the Joe Arpaio, see, the shit comes around, Joe Arpaio. By the time his deputies got back up, or the Border Patrol, or whoever picked them up, or took them to the border, before the van that took them down there gets back up to the Mesa, Arizona, the guy they took to Mexico and released, he's back up in Mesa, Arizona, on the same corner, selling the same drugs. I ain't lying, folks. I know these people. I knew the guys that were doing it, selling the drugs. I knew. And they would tell me, I'm not a citizen. They arrest me. It doesn't matter how much cocaine, weed, whatever. They take me over here. They keep the drugs. They take me to the border and drop me off at the border. I get back in another van, and it hauls me right back up here. If you guys think I'm not lying to you folks, man. I know this shit. I run that border, that southern border. And back when Obama was president, and people, this is when I pumped over, if you count everything, about $50,000 into prepping and ready to. I could, at the drop of a hat, back into raise my garage door back up to a trailer, hook to it, and be gone with many supplies, and had many supplies in other places. That's how when Obama was in office. This is when I figured out something's coming. And I spent at least half his presidency. I gave him the first year saying, you know what, let's see what he's going to do. I did that. I talked about that on CB radios to truckers. I used to piss them off. I'd say, hey, wait a minute. Hey, let's see what he's going to do. And give everybody a chance. I didn't vote for any of them. But I said, let's see what he's going to do. And I fought for him for about the first year, and then I found out, oh no. And I went all in, folks, on prepping. And, oh man, shit, I done forgot where I was going with this, but, I'll have to cut this video short. What was I talking about? Anyway, back then, that's when I was prepping the hardest. And, it's not coming back, folks. I'm going to have to end it here. God loves you. I love you. Oh, I had to do a quick video, too, because my wife, I didn't forget that. She's already on me. So, that didn't help. Love you guys. Seek Jesus' path, folks. All this stuff has been planned and laid out for decades and generations. And from what I heard today, this last generation, Gen Z or whatever it is, they claim it's the gayest generation ever. And when you put Sodom and Gomorrah into that, that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. 1 out of 5 people. It's your society, your world, not mine. I'm just trying to get through it. Love you guys. Seek Jesus. That's all you need to do.